welcome back to WFP Reviews, looking at classic British productions you should see or see again. This time, we look at one of the great characters of Brit TV's golden age, Rumpole of the Bailey. Horace Rumpole was a maverick barrister who quoted Wordsworth, drank cheap plunk, and always acted for the defense. He was also extremely watchable. Exploring the show, we'll look at the two remarkable men who made this series a classic, cast members, its social commentary, and how the series evolved.
My whole existence is bound by a small blue volume handed down like the tablets of Moses.
What the hell's he talking
It is
about?
called Etiquette of the Bar. Now, barristers down the ages have killed, they have certainly committed adultery, and for all I know, they may well have worshipped graven images, but I do not believe that any one of them ever went on to fight a case after his client has told him in clear, crystal ringing tones that he actually did the deed.
The immortal Rumpole was a creation of London-born barrister John Mortimer, who also turned out to be a remarkably good writer. Unlike Rumpole, Mortimer was a QC, or Queen's Counsel, a coveted title for top British lawyers. While building up a renowned law practice, Mortimer also began writing for stage, radio, and TV in the 1950s. His early work included a radio play called The Dock Brief, starring Michael Hordern as a struggling barrister. Mortimer was drawn to liberal causes. Famously, he got the Sex Pistols acquitted on an obscenity charge for the record title Never Mind the Bullocks. In the 1970s, he created Rumpole, based partly on his own legal experience and his father's, who was also a lawyer. Mortimer would make his character a brilliant, likable underdog, and he would also use him to comment on social and moral issues and the justice system. Rumpole himself was played by the wonderful Leo McKern, and more on him later, and the character first appeared in Rumpole and the Confession of Guilt, part of a 1975 BBC anthology. Now, fans will find this one-off drama a little different than the series. It's weightier and more seriously introspective.
Of course, I was 7 when you sent me to Wagoners.
Oh, no.
With a cake in a box. To get beaten by the sixth formers and fancied by the French master.
Oh, come on, Nick, that was entirely different.
The BBC failed to run with the show, and when Mortimer took the concept to Thames TV, he made some tweaks. Wisely, in the series, Mortimer blended more satire and humor into his serious looks at the law, and he found the right balance. That led to a successful run of over 40 episodes over many years. Horace practices with a conservative law firm at 3 Equity Court, where ambitious partners advance by losing at golf with senior judges. However, Rumpole isn't interested in advancement or lucrative business law. Instead, he spends hours in the legendary Old Bailey courthouse, defending charges from petty theft to assault and murder, though some of his major cases take him to other cities and countries. In the courtroom, he's savvy, often smarter than the prosecutors, but with a weakness for jousting with gruff judges.
Mr. Rumpole.
All that said, unlike Matlock or Perry Mason, Rumpole is not infallible. Some of the best episodes dig into murky areas. They leave him questioning the law's morality, his own actions, or how a client might have deceived him. I especially liked Rumpole and the Showfolk, in which Mortimer compared stage actors to lawyers performing in the courtroom. Compared to other TV lawyers, Rumpole is more deeply developed, and his rich monologues share his doubts and keen observations. Rumpole's verbal skills in tense trial scenes are the highlights of most episodes, but the series also showcased a great gallery of judges, family members, and other lawyers. Remarkably, Mortimer wrote each story himself, and he often had plots in which aspects of a case mirrored events in Rumpole's own circle. Over the years, the show featured many fine actors. We had the always smooth Peter Bowles as Guthrie Featherstone, QCMP, the first head of chambers. Patricia Hodge and Julian Curry were married opera-loving lawyers. Jonathan Coy was the head clerk, and Leo's own daughter, Abigail McKern, later appeared as a women's lib lawyer, Liz Probert. Special attention must be paid to the two actresses who played Horace's wife, Hilda, also known as She Who Must Be Obeyed. Peggy Thorpe Bates originated the role, and she played Hilda a little softer. Later, Marion Matthews' take was a bit more formidable, living up to her nickname, which was based on an H. Rider Haggard character.
She who must be obeyed.
Now, let's turn to the actor whose name would become synonymous with Rumpole. I'd long been a fan of Leo McKern, and first became aware of him as the cult leader in Help with the Beatles. A few years later, he was a marvelous foil for Patrick McGowan in The Prisoner, playing the key role of number 2 3 times.
There are some people who talk and some people who don't, which means that there are some people who leave this place and some who do not leave. You are obviously staying.
McKern's career stretched back to the late 1940s. He could play characters who were likable and impish, or commanding and frightening. Sometimes he combined aspects of both. With his rich voice and delivery, he could dominate a scene or hold his own against strong personalities such as Paul Scofield in A Man for All Seasons.
For example, concerning the Church of England, what exactly is the Bishop of Rome's authority?
You will find it very ably set out and defended, Master Secretary, in the King's book.
In the book published under the King's name would be more accurate.
And while McKern will always be linked to Rumpole, he wasn't the first actor considered for the part. As he developed the show, Mortimer hoped that Alistair Sim, Scrooge himself, might play the barrister. However, the aging actor was not available. Sim actually died in 1976, and instead the part went to the Australian actor with a glass eye. McKern was approaching 60 when the series started, and his character's pending retirement was often rumored in the show, but the Rumpole popularity kept him resurfacing in a special and 6 show seasons for over 15 years. Rumpole is always entertaining, but the show became slightly broader in later years, especially with the straight-laced soapy Sam Ballard, played by Peter Blythe, becoming the new head of Chambers. I prefer the dramatic balance of the earlier seasons, but lighter stories set in a restaurant and sea cruise remain very popular with fans. Also, while he's quite liberal, sometimes Horace relishes the sordid details of his cases, especially endless references to the Penge bungalow murders. At times, he relates them with too much relish, shocking both his American daughter-in-law and possibly some TV viewers. He was a lawyer of his time.
My heart leaps up when I behold a rainbow in the sky, or a murder in the offing. Oh, doesn't that sound terrible?
Always in demand, and boasting almost 100 screen credits, McKern had other favorite roles, but knew he would always be known for playing the Old Bailey hack. As he once said, "If I get an obit in any paper, they will say, 'Of course, known to millions as Rumpole.'" When McKern did pass in 2002 at age 82, he was remembered as Rumpole in a New York Times headline, but remembered very fondly. Rumpole of the Bailey was shown in North America on the PBS Mystery Series. Today, you can get it on DVD and streaming services, including some episodes free here on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and come back soon to Walt's Flicks Picks.